Have you ever just stopped and wondered what really makes you, you? I mean, how did you go from being a tiny baby to the person you are right this second? Well, that's pretty much the heart of developmental psychology, the study of how we grow, adapt, and change throughout our entire lives. And it all really kicks off with one massive question.
And this is it. This is the big one. Just think about it for a second. Your personality, your talents, all those little quirks that make you unique. Were they hardwired into your system from birth? Or were they shaped by your family, your friends, and every single experience you've had along the way? This is one of the biggest puzzles that psychologists are constantly trying to piece together. And to even begin to answer that giant question, developmental psychologists really zero in on two central issues, two huge debates that get right to the core of how we become who we are. So first up is the absolute classic, the one you've definitely heard of before, the nature versus nurture debate. You can think of this as the ultimate showdown between what's in our biology and what's in our environment. This chart just lays it out so perfectly, right? On one side, you have nature. That's everything we're born with, our genes, our biology, the whole hereditary shebang. And on the other side, you have nurture. That's all about our environment, our experiences, how we were raised, and the world we grow up in. So the nature argument is pretty straightforward. It basically says that the blueprint for who you're going to become is already there from day one, locked away inside your DNA. Your potential, your temperament, it's all inborn. But the nurture camp sees it completely differently. They argue that we're a lot more like a blank slate when we're born. Our development is shaped by everything that happens to us after we arrive. You know, the lessons we learn, the culture we're part of, the people we meet. So, who wins? Is it nature or nurture? Well, the truth is, today most psychologists will tell you it's not a competition at all. It's more like a partnership. The modern view is that nature and nurture are constantly working together. For example, your biological factors, that's nature, obviously play a massive role in your physical development, like how tall you get. But environmental factors, that's nurture, have a way stronger pull on things like your moral compass and your values. Okay, let's move on to our second big debate. This one isn't so much about what causes us to change, but how that change actually happens. Is it a smooth, steady journey, or is it more like leveling up in a video game with distinct stages? I love this comparison because it just makes so much sense. The continuous theory is like walking up a smooth ramp. It's this gradual, steady climb. The discontinuous theory, though, is much more like climbing a staircase. You hang out on one step for a while, and then bam, you suddenly jump to a completely new level. So the continuous theory suggests that we're just constantly adding new skills and new knowledge, little by little. Every single experience just builds on the last one, which leads to this slow and steady improvement over time. It's a really fluid, ongoing process. You can kind of think of it like this. First, you learn some basic skills. Then you practice and refine them. Then you start combining those skills in new and interesting ways. And finally, you master something really complex. See how each step just flows smoothly and logically into the next? Just like walking up that ramp. But what about the other side of this coin? The discontinuous theory argues that development happens in these sudden leaps. We move through a series of distinct, separate stages, and each stage is fundamentally different from the one that came before it. And here's the real kicker with this theory. You can't just skip a step. Your brain and your body have to be biologically ready to move on. So it doesn't matter how hard you practice or how great your teacher is, you just can't learn certain skills until you've hit the right developmental stage. And this brings us to a perfect real-world example. In a famous study, a bunch of 9-year-olds were given a classic physics problem about what makes a pendulum swing faster or slower, and they just could not figure it out. Not because they weren't smart, but because their brains hadn't yet hit that developmental stage required for abstract scientific thinking. They simply hadn't reached that next step on the staircase yet. Now, I know you might be thinking, okay, these theories are kind of interesting, but so what? Well, it turns out that understanding these debates has huge real-world implications, especially in one place we all know, the classroom. You see, great teaching isn't just about throwing information at kids. It's about really understanding how their minds work. If a teacher knows whether a child's development is gradual or happens in stages, they know when it's the right time to introduce a tough idea, like abstract math, and they know how to teach it in a way that actually clicks with the student's current abilities. It's literally the key to creating strategies that work. So let's bring it all back to you. When you look back at your own life, at how you've learned and grown,
What does it feel like? Does it seem like a smooth ramp, a slow and steady journey? Or is it more like a set of stairs, with sudden jumps in how you see the world? It's a pretty fascinating question to ask yourself.